Hello and welcome back to Israel with Aline. Today we're going to see biblical prophecies that are being fulfilled in these days. We will get to know a tree from the times of Jesus that came back to life and talk about the prophecy of the dry bones of Ezekiel. So if you are ready, let's get started. To understand how the prophecies are being fulfilled in our days, we have to go back to the past. In biblical times, the land of Israel was wonderful. There was a lot of agriculture. Most of the people of Israel lived here in their land. There were colossal buildings and even a peak period of the kings of Israel. 3,000 years ago with King David and King Solomon. But everything will change 2,000 years ago. And that's why we are here today in the ruins of Masada to tell the end of the era of Israel. Israel! Masada is one of the most impressive and important sites in the history of Israel. This is literally the beginning of the end. But let's start the story a little earlier. The Romans, a little over 2,000 years ago, conquered Israel and named it the Judea province, and they began to oppress the province and the Jews who lived here with taxes, with a great religious oppression and influence in everything in the daily life of the population. And the population will get tired and say, we want to be free as we were in the time of King David and King Solomon. And a great rebellion is declared called the Great Jewish Rebellion. Unfortunately, this rebellion will be met with a very large war on the part of the Romans. The Romans will destroy city after city from north to south of Israel. They killed, enslaved, and expelled most of the population. And where will the last free Jews find themselves? Here in Masada. And what happened to the last free Jews of the land of Israel? They were about 1,000 people. They were all up here on the mountain of Masada. It was certainly a very difficult time for them. They represented the last freedom, the last hope of all the people of Israel. But the Romans were not going to allow any Jew to remain free. And what they are going to do is build Roman military bases around the mountain here. And they prepared to attack the mountain. They build a gigantic project, a ramp that goes up to here. And they really climb up to Masada to catch, kill, and enslave these last Jews. But when they get up here, what they find is a big surprise. They discover that these last 1,000 Jews decided to take their own lives and not surrender to the Romans. We know this also because of the words that were immortalized in the book of Flavius Josephus. Let's now hear the words of Eleazar ben Yair, the leader of the rebellion, and what was done here in Masada. Since we, long ago, resolved not to become slaves to the Romans and to no one else but the Creator, therefore, I want to say that the Romans kept us under their power while we were alive. We were the first to revolt against them, and we are the last to fight against them. I cannot but consider this as a favor that God has granted us, that it is still in our power to die bravely in a state of freedom, which did not happen to others who were conquered by surprise. We can still die in a glorious way together, alongside our dear friends. Let our wives pass away before they suffer any kind of abuse, and our children before they experience slavery. And after killing them, let's grant this glory mutually, one over the others in freedom, as an excellent funerary monument for us. But first, let's destroy our money and the fortress by fire, For I am fully certain that this will be a terrible blow to the Romans. They won't be able to seize our bodies nor our wealth. Let's get rid of everything except for our provisions and food. For they will bear witness when we are dead that we were not overcome by necessity, but according to our original resolution that we prefer death to slavery. And look how impressive, precisely in these food deposits that were not burned, begins the fulfillment of our biblical prophecy. The people of that time did not know, but their role was fundamental to the history of Israel. And to help us better understand how all this is happening, we are going to meet a friend here from the channel, Shlomi Lubeton. So guys, if you are as eager to know this story as I am, let's go. Shalom, Shlomi.
Hi, thank you.
Guys, everyone here say hello. Give a big hi to Shlomi, who is back on the channel today. Today we are here at the food depots. Here the rebels have literally put tons of food to prepare for the battle and for the war that really happened. What happened in this place?
The rebels destroyed all of Masada and left only the food depots intact because they wanted to prove that they did not die of hunger, that they had plenty of food. It means that they lacked nothing.
And when they dug here, when the archaeologists arrived here, what was found inside this depot?
The findings here are very important and interesting. Jars with wine with olive oil, and most importantly, a jar with dates was found. The dates were part of the abundance of that time, and this connects us with what we are going to talk about today.
So folks, he has already started talking about the dates that are really linked to our prophecy, and the dates are really often linked to the Bible. One of the times that I find most beautiful is that the land of Israel is written to flow with milk and honey. The milk, folks, is not cow's milk, it's goat's milk, and the honey is honey from?
Date.
Dates, exactly. The dates at that time were so sweet and so tasty and were such an important part of people's diet. The psalmists themselves talk about the dates from the land of Israel, but unfortunately those dates have become extinct. So the dates that we eat today in Israel are not the same ones that were around in Jesus' times. And here, when they did archaeological excavations, they found this jar with these date seeds from that time. And without a doubt, the archaeologists were amazed. Shlomi even accompanies many groups of archaeologists here in the region. Tell us a little about where you take these archaeologists.
I accompany researchers into caves, as many rebels used to hide in caves, and this was nothing new. King David himself hid in a cave when he fled from Saul. In ancient times, people would hide with their treasures in caves.
So the caves were used a lot here in the region by the rebels. So Masada is the center of the rebels, but there were many here in the region. They are going to leave us many archaeological remains, among them these dried dates. And also scrolls in the remains of the synagogue, which is where we are going. Wow, it's really impressive to be in a synagogue that's almost 2,000 years old, and many archaeological finds were found here. What was mainly found here?
Scrolls were found here, among them Ezekiel 37, which is the prophecy of the valley of dry bones.
See how history connects? Of all the scrolls that these rebels could bring here, they brought exactly the valley of dry bones. And if he found other scrolls, but the others were not as important, they were not preserved. Exactly what was preserved is the valley of dry bones, which we will soon connect with the dates. And now let's hear the prophecy. The hand of the Lord came upon me, and he brought me out in the spirit of the Lord, and set me in the middle of a valley, It was full of bones. He led me around among them, and there were very many lying in the valley, and they were very dry. He said to me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord God, you know. Then he said to me, Prophesy to these bones, and say to them, O dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord God to these bones, I will cause breath to enter you, and you shall live. I will lay sinews on you, and I will cause flesh to come upon you, and will cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and you shall live, and you shall know that I am the Lord. So I prophesied as I was commanded. Then he said to me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dried up, and our hope is lost. We are indeed cut off. Therefore prophesy and say to them, Thus says the Lord God, Behold, I will open your graves and raise you from your graves, O my people, and I will bring you into the land of Israel. And indeed, the land of Israel became like a valley of dry bones after the slaughter by the Romans. And these dry dates that are linked to the prophecy of the dry bones, where are they found today?
These dry dates are found in Keturah, which is next to Eilat, a 2.5-hour journey from here.
Guys, it's going to be a lot of road today, but it will be worth it, even in this sun of over 40 degrees. It will be worth it. Thank you, Shlomi.
Thank you, and let's go. Let's go.
So archaeologists from 1965 began to find these date seeds, which is fantastic, but there wasn't much to do with it. They took and put in deposits of Bar Ilan University, far away from here, and these seeds stayed 40 years in the deposits, stopped in a box. They're cataloged, some stopped in a deposit, and after 40 years, some people began to have ideas. People who knew the Bible and who knew the biblical prophecies, including the prophecy of the dry bones, that from all dry, from all death, from all destruction would come back to life. And they began to have a crazy idea, or at least most people at the time thought it would be a crazy idea, to take these seeds and try to make them sprout. So they took the seeds from the university and brought them here to the middle of the desert and tried to make them grow. And now what we're going to do together is go and see if they really managed to do anything with these seeds after 2,000 years. Shall we go? Let's go. It's really amazing. We're in front of a miracle, a 2,000-year-old seed found in the middle of the desert. Nobody, not even the archaeologists themselves, had faith that this could one day sprout. And they managed to take these seeds, and out of all the seeds, one they managed to make sprout, and it turned into this gigantic tree that we're seeing here. Only there's a problem. In 2005, when they planted the tree, they didn't know if it would be male or female. Dates are always one or the other, so they planted hoping it would be female, because only females bear fruit, and they planted in 2005, and finally in 2011, when the tree was already big, it started to bloom, and then they found out that the tree was male. Exactly. They called him Methuselah, but that means they managed to bring a 2,000-year-old tree to life. But being male and having only one, they couldn't bring fruit, or at least not yet. We will continue the story, but before we continue the story, I want to meet Aline, who is the creator of this whole project, and she started to make all this happen, literally the mother of Methuselah, you could say. We are now with Aline Soloway, the creator of this fantastic project, and she is going to tell us a little bit about everything that is happening here. Aline, please tell us how the idea of spreading the 2,000-year-old seed came about.
Actually, it wasn't my idea itself. It was Dr. Sarah Salone's idea. Sarah Salone from Hadassah. She had read an article where a blonde seed had been spread after 1,500 years, and she said, "Why don't we try some of seeds?" So,
Methuselah means he who lived 969 years in the Bible, who is Noah's grandfather. It's a good tribute, really, to Methuselah. But
he didn't become a boy.
So they planted it in 2005, only one seed sprouted. And then only in 2011, when it began to bloom, they discovered whether it was a boy or a girl, and they found out that Methuselah was a boy and that he couldn't bear fruit. So you had a 2,000-year-old tree and it couldn't bear fruit. Yes, so
what did you do? We looked for more seeds. Sarah found a very good friend who worked very, very deeply with the system of the area of the, and he gave her the ability to run through all her seed collections, and she chose 40 perfect seeds for me, and from them we have several more trees, and 2 of them turned out to be female. So,
do you have a total of 7 trees? Yes. So folks, they have 7 trees here, so it's not an isolated phenomenon of a tree that was reborn. And if there are 7 trees that were reborn, 2 of them are female. We're going to see one of them in a little while and get to know a bit more. And Aline, seeing the success of this project, they took very old seeds, millennial seeds from other regions, and they tried to plant them here. So the seeds from other areas that you tried
to propagate for
him, what happened? Nothing. Nothing? Nothing?
They are completely dry and dead, and I can't do anything with them.
How many seeds?
Did you try from
other areas?
I tried various seeds and olive oil, among other things. I tried grape. I tried 12.
Or hundreds of seeds. There are
hundreds, but nothing arrived. So,
guys, look, hundreds of seeds and nothing, and look at the success here, precisely, of the dates that are coming back to life. We really see that there is something special. I
really believe that the dead moon is a special area.
I also believe. Also, the beginning of this prophecy being fulfilled. But what does all this have to do with the prophecy of the Valley of Dry Bones, which is in Ezekiel 37? The prophecy tells us of a dry valley full of bones and no life, and this valley slowly comes back to life. Ezekiel 2,600 years ago prophesied about this. And really, will the land of Israel be abandoned? In the year 70 AD, the Romans destroy Israel, they destroy the agriculture, Israel will be abandoned. The dates that were then eaten will even become extinct. Most of the people of Israel will be sent into exile and will suffer greatly in exile. Anyone who picked up and read this prophecy for most of the last 2,000 years would not believe that this would actually become reality. There were anti-Jewish governments here that did not allow immigration. Israel had diseases, it had swamps, it had deserts, it had no life, it had no agriculture. Really, Israel was a land that people looked at and said, how can this land be blessed? This here is a valley of dry bones. Everything starts to change in 1948 when Israel declares its independence and the Kibbutz Galuyot begins. The Jews, the people of Israel who were scattered all over the world, begin to return. This in itself is already a prophecy. God promises to bring his people back from the ends of the earth. And it shall be in that day, the Lord will again set his hand to recover the remnant of his people who are left from Syria and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Ethiopia, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he will raise a standard among the nations, and gather the exiles of Israel, and gather the scattered ones of Judah from the four corners of the earth. The desert in Israel begins to bloom, as you are seeing here, and this too is a prophecy. The desert and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the wilderness shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. It shall blossom abundantly, and rejoice even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They will see the glory of the Lord, the splendor of our God. And the Bible tells us that the land of Israel, it flows with milk and honey, and the prophecies cannot be complete without the land having milk and honey. The milk at that time was from goats, and we have goats in Israel to this day, but the honey is not bee honey, but rather date honey, because the dates in the times of Jesus, they were sweet as honey. And that's why when we get here and think about the fulfillment of the prophecies, we need the honey of the Bible, the dates from 2,000 years ago. They really managed to bring a 2,000-year-old tree back to life. But we need more than one. We need the female date palms so we can have the fruits. And they managed in 2014 to plant new seeds and create more tamarinds. And we will see them right here. Come with me.
So actually they took Methuselah's bed and brought the cane. And so they were able to grow fruits. In the year 2020, the first time the cane bears fruit,
see how new, how recent this phenomenon is, 2020, that is, the land flowing with milk and honey really started flowing with honey again from the year 2020. At the beginning a little bit and more. In the first year there were only 110 dates, now there are more, but still the quantity is limited. And if I can be very honest with you, my dream is to taste one of these dates. I mean, to taste the same thing as the one who wrote the Psalms, that King David, when he writes the Psalms, he talks about the honey of the dates. I really want to try. I know that in Elaine's laboratory there is, I don't know if she will let us taste it or not, but I really want to. And even if I can't, just being here, being on the spot, being able to see the fulfillment of this biblical prophecy is exciting. But let's go together now to the laboratory. Sure, let's go. Guys, we are now in Elaine's laboratory. You can see all the equipment, and she just went to the fridge. And she brought a little bag. What do we have here? We have the dates of
Methuselah from this year.
So guys, these are the dates from this year. These are the fruits from the 2,000 years old.
Yes. Methuselah pollinated Hannah, which is our tree here. And we have these dates now.
So guys, these are literally the fruits of Methuselah with Hannah. Can I try one? Yes, please.
We will go.
Return the seed, because here, folks, each one of these is really a treasure. So,
They taste like honey.
exactly, the land of Israel flows with milk and honey. And now, tasting the dates from 2,000 years ago, we understand. I'll save this seed for her as requested.
That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, guys, this is really all I can eat because they are counted, but it's amazing.
I'm thrilled. They loved it.
After so much work, I'm really happy that they have this wonderful taste. Thank you so much for letting me literally taste the history. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. So
they will also have the sale here in the next few years. They will have the boxes here with some dates for sale. But here we are, having firsthand, and God willing, Anna Methuselah, these are the first dates. God willing, they will be able to multiply, bear fruit, and really multiply them. So thank you very much. You're very welcome. And now I am in front of Adam, the name of one of these 6,000-year-old trees that came back to life. Literally trees that were from the times of Jesus, and some even a little earlier that came back to life. And that's why I want to talk to you about the prophecy of the Valley of Dry Bones. When the scroll of the Valley of Dry Bones was found blurred, these seeds were found very close by. And these seeds began to come back to life. And not only these seeds, all of Israel. For 1900 years from the moment of the destruction of Masada until modern times, Israel was destroyed and desolate, and the Jews scattered around the world. And since then, so much has changed. The people began to return to their land, the desert to bloom. Their land began to flow with the honey of biblical times. And in my opinion, the Valley of Dry Bones also began to be reborn. And look how much life and wonder there is in Israel today. Without a doubt, we live in a very privileged period of history. For thousands of years, the people of Israel looked at Jerusalem and Israel for nothing that was here and prayed. Next year in Jerusalem, they prayed and cried for a desolate land. And after so much suffering, after the people of Israel went through so many persecutions, the Holocaust, the expulsion of the Jews from Spain, from Portugal, and so many other events, finally, the people returned to their land, and the dry bones came back to life. And that's why I feel very privileged today to be here on this day telling this story to you. And I want to thank from the bottom of my heart, Shlomi, who came with us, who brought us so far. So thank you very, very much, Shlomi.
And
what I want to do now is invite you all to also follow Shlomi on social media. How can people find you? Tell them. In trips that show the fish, that show the land of Israel differently, come, enjoy. I want to thank you. I want to thank everyone who watched. And those who liked it, folks, and want more videos like these, showing Israel in depth and its prophecies, we ask, leave a like here, because it helps the channel a lot. And those who are not subscribed yet, take the opportunity and subscribe here. Thank you, Shlomi. Thank you, everyone. A kiss, and see you next time.